death of any covered family member that can be used to offset post-mortem expenses. For as little as 75 cents per day, you can ensure that your expenses are covered. Call Beacon at 440-4447 and sign up for the Rest Easy plan today.
2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6.
Education multiplies their chances and places the world of opportunity in their hands. No matter where they are in the world, make sure they're prepared for their journey back to school with Western Union. School fees, books, room and board, whatever the reason. Knowledge, independence, opportunity. Western Union, moving money for better.
And we are back. And of course, I'd like to say special morning to everyone tuning into Power 95. As always, a pleasure having you here with us. It is Wednesday, April 21. And like I told you guys this morning, we will be speaking with the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Shawn Charles. He's in the ladies' room with us today. So just come on into the room quickly, guys. And as soon as you do, you know what to do already, all right? Hit the share button. And of course, you can give other folks the opportunity to be part of the program. And if you've got questions or if there's anything you need clarification on, we'd be more than happy to do that, all right? So we already 9 minutes into the hour, so we're not gonna waste any more time. Jumping right into it, and just quickly saying good morning to all those joining us on the live, or if you're listening to us via radio or online on the Power app. Thank you so much for being a part of our show today. Alrighty, so without any further ado, let me say good morning to Dr. Charles. Good morning. How are you today?
Hi, good morning to you. I am doing well, I suppose. I hope you are the same.
We need a little bit more conviction. Are you well, full stop, or are you not well?
I have life, I have health, I have strength, I have people around me who care, so I have more than enough.
Right, so that's a good place to start. So you're good. All righty. Of course, this morning we wanna speak a little bit about the vaccination drive and what has been happening from the time you've been the CMO, and how of course we can encourage other folks to be vaccinated, and just bring people up to speed, because of course there's still a lot of questions regarding vaccination. So we probably can start there by finding out how the drive is going. Are you satisfied with the pace at which it's going?
Well, I must say that the uptake in the past, let's say 2-3 weeks or so, the uptake has slowed significantly.
Mhm.
When we initially started, we had a surge of persons coming in to get vaccinated. But since then, as more tendency has arisen in the population, the uptake has slowed. It's below what we would like to see at this time, especially considering that this is a very serious disease.
Mhm. So your stats is below what you would like to see. What were we aiming for in terms of numbers, and where are we now with those numbers?
Well, at least we would have liked to see an uptake upwards of 500 plus persons being vaccinated per week. We are way below that. Some weeks we are 100 plus. It has, as we start giving our second doses to individuals who received that first dose, we are now in the 200, 300 or so. But at least for persons receiving their first dose, what we would have liked to see is at least more than 500 persons or so being vaccinated per day. If we are to within a couple of months hit our target of maybe between 60 or 70% or so of the population being immunized.
Mhm. So in terms of those who got the first dose, and of course were given a time to do the second, are you seeing people actually doing the second dose, or they've stopped at the one and you're having difficulties getting them to?
Yes, we have persons receiving their second doses. So far, 406 persons have received their second dose. I myself got my second dose yesterday,
Hmm.
and yeah, we encourage everyone to come in and receive your second dose and be fully vaccinated.
In terms of the comparisons with our neighboring countries, what does it look like? How does Grenada compare to those countries in terms of vaccine uptake?
Well, I mean, sad to say that, but we are lagging behind um, a lot of our neighbors. Grenada is somewhere in terms of the number of persons in the population that have received the dose and the percentage of the population that has received at least one dose of the vaccine.
Could
We
you
are
just angle
certainly lagging.
your Dr. Charles? Could you just angle your camera before we continue? I'm not seeing your face. All right, better.
Yeah. So we are certainly lagging behind our fellow OECS brothers and sisters.
Hmm. So, what do you think are some of the reasons surrounding, the hesitancy in the part of the public in getting vaccinated?
Well, there are many factors, but
Hmm.
I believe that misinformation being spread in the public, and especially spread on social media, has a large part to play. It's creating quite a bit of confusion in the minds of persons, and it's making them more hesitant. We also have the news of rare side effects, and of course, these rare side effects are being magnified by the media. We also we have to consider general mistrust. I mean, we are in an atmosphere right now where persons have a general mistrust of authority on a whole.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, there's some degree of there may be some degree of politics in there as well, and also there's a lack of a sense of COVID being dangerous. All right, we don't see COVID as being a present, clear and present danger for us, because we have done a lot of work to ensure that the population as a whole is protected, so persons do not feel the fear, and hence vaccination for them is just it's unnecessary. So I think these are some of the factors that influence the slow uptake and the hesitancy.
I think the latter has a lot to do with it as well. So many folks are saying, well, we don't have COVID here, so what am I protecting myself against? We basically, compared to the other islands and other countries, we've been at zero for how many days, and I'm not gonna put something in my body that I really don't need. So I've been hearing a lot of that. We don't have it, so I don't need to get vaccinated.
Right, and that is a common misconception. What we must realize, that Grenada is part of the world, and as long as there is an outbreak somewhere in the world, it can get here. Now, it just so happened that this outbreak is happening all around us. There is community spread of COVID in territories all around Grenada. As long as this disease is not controlled in places where persons travel regularly to Grenada. All right, so we're talking about North America, we're talking about the UK, Europe, we're talking about South America and the Caribbean. As long as there is ongoing transmission, there is an ongoing outbreak in any of these places, we will always be at great risk of importing cases, of getting cases. All right. As long as there's COVID anywhere, it is a risk for us here. We have been doing well, but our fortunes can change in a second.
And I'm seeing someone commenting on the screen saying, you take the vaccine and you're still prone to getting the virus. And that is something I also hear a lot of as well. That, okay, what is the point taking the virus? What is the point taking the vaccine when I can still it does not prevent me from getting the virus. How would you respond to that? Because that seems to be something a lot of folks are saying.
All right, so persons need to understand the purpose of vaccination. This COVID-19 vaccination helps to prevent severe disease, prevent hospitalization, prevent deaths. You may encounter the virus because you have to move around in the public like anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
If someone coughs in your face, you breathe that into your lungs. The
Mhm.
difference is whether you are immunized or not. If you are immunized, all right, that virus comes in, your immune system recognizes it, and it destroys it quickly. So you do not get severely ill. You are not hospitalized. You do not die. All right, or your chances of this is very, very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, for persons who are you breathe that virus in, it rapidly multiplies in your body, and you run the risk of becoming severely ill, being admitted to hospital, and possibly dying. So
Mm-hmm.
that is that is the purpose for us vaccinating.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask you to elaborate a bit on what these vaccines do and how they will help in ending this pandemic.
Right. So the sorry,
Mhm.
vaccines teach our immune system to recognize germs. All right, and it prepares your immune system to destroy them. All right. This is done through the creation of antibodies and memory cells and so on. So that if, and it does so without the need for a person becoming, all right, because remember, there are two ways to build immunity. One is through infection, all right, that is the natural route. The other is by getting a vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
So the vaccine allows your body to build, right, immune protection so that in the event that you become exposed to that germ in the future, your immune system will rapidly recognize it and destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And like I say, this is not immunized, then that germ gets the opportunity to multiply in them and cause disease and all of the negative effects that comes along with the disease. So that is basically what the vaccines are designed to do.
Someone is also making the comment that there's a lot of fears and doubts in people's mind due to the issues with AstraZeneca and now Johnson and Johnson, and all information about the vaccine is available on CDC and the WHO website. So the information is there, but so is that fear because hearing about the AstraZeneca vaccine and blood clotting playing a part as well. How would you reassure folks when, because I mean, it's practically all over the news. Plus, we've only got one option and, not the other options that's available. And
All
they
right.
all
What I
have
would say,
some sort of issues attached to it.
yeah, what I would say to persons like that is one, all medications, all interventions have some degree of adverse effect. All vaccines have potential side effects, potential adverse effects.
Hmm.
All of the COVID-19 vaccines that are on the market have their own profile of adverse effects. All right. The vaccine that we are using presently also has its profile of adverse effects.
Hmm.
Right. What we must, what we want persons to understand is that yes, there are some adverse effects that were identified following vaccination with this vaccine. However, they were very rare. A very small number of individuals have gotten these side effects. So when you compare the adverse effects that you get from the vaccine as opposed to what happens to a person if they actually get COVID, I mean, the difference is immense. All right, so you have about, let's say, a 1 in 250,000 to 1 in 1 million chance of having a clot following the vaccine, right? But if you're pregnant, you probably have a 1 in 300 chance of getting a clot. And that is in the natural population. All right. There are other things like oral contraception, where the chances of getting a clot is maybe 1 in 500 or 1 in 1500, somewhere around there, which is much greater. Now, particularly this rare side effect, and we must emphasize that this is a rare side effect. This was first, one of the first places this was identified previously was in the use of a drug that we use very commonly in hospitals for patients with heart attacks and to treat patients with clots, in the general population, a drug called heparin. All right. The immune reaction that produces this clot was recognized with this drug. However, this drug is the mainstay of treatment for persons who have clots and go to hospitals, persons after surgery to prevent clots, persons who are treated for heart attacks and the like. All right. So this is the first place that rare side effect was noticed. Yet we continue using that drug because the benefits of the use far outweigh the rare side effect that is seen. And it is the same with the vaccine. The benefits of receiving this vaccine far outweighs the risks that the very minor risk that is associated with taking the vaccine.
It's funny. I was telling someone that last evening that you look at the television and you see an advertisement for a medication, and the amount of side effects you see from, and it's intended to do one thing, but sometimes it's the list of side effects you see is actually worse than what it is intended for. But nevertheless, you take it still. But the question is, though, is there a way that folks can check to see if they're prone to blood clots or anything before taking the vaccine as a sort of precaution? Is there any way you can do that?
Well, the thing is not that straightforward. The thing is, there are conditions that predispose people to having clots.
Mm-hmm.
Some chronic health conditions, being obese, being on oral contraception, smoking, even taking a long flight. All right, taking a long flight, maybe from Grenada to the US or Grenada to the UK, and sitting for long periods, all of these raises the risk of persons, developing clots. Clotting is something that occurs in the general population. I mean, in Grenada, we have persons going to hospital being treated for clots in their legs. Some persons get clots that travel to their lungs, which in itself is a serious condition. And this is outside of vaccination, right?
Okay.
This is outside of vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something that occurs normally and naturally in the population.
Okay. Someone here is asking, how long after you recovered from COVID would one have to wait to be vaccinated?
All right. So generally, it is recommended that, let's say, about a month or so after recovering from COVID, you can get vaccinated.
Okay, about a month or all right. I'm just trying to go through some of the questions. Um, Someone here is also asking about, and I'm hearing a lot of this, that there's the COVID virus is in the vaccine. You hear we're trying to debunk a whole lot of the things that people are hearing and using as an excuse to not be vaccinated. Can you speak to us on that?
Yeah, well, I can say to that person that is false. The vaccine does not contain the COVID virus. Right? The vaccine contains a piece of genetic material that was from the virus. All right, that is designed to produce a protein that the virus produces. So it is not taken from the virus, but it is developed to produce a protein that the virus produces. All right, and once that is inoculated into persons, your cells will produce that protein, which is called the spike protein, and your immune system recognizes it and creates antibodies and and cells and so on to attack and destroy it.
Because vaccination is something from since you're a baby, practically you have to get your shots before you even get admitted into schools. You have to get your shots, and no questions asked. You get your child immunized, whatever. But now folks are asking about the terms and the time that it took to develop the vaccine, and what does that have to do really with the vaccine that's available? Does that does that interfere with the effectiveness of the vaccine, the length of time it takes to produce one?
All right, so and you see that is a very good observation. We have relied on vaccination for years. We have trusted vaccination for years. All right, we carry our babies when they're born, when they go to get a 6-week checkup and they get their first series of vaccines without question. All right, through vaccination, we have been able in this region to eliminate many diseases such as polio and measles and rubella and so on. Parents here do not have to worry about their babies being brain damaged or being made deaf or blind as a result of getting a common vaccine preventable diseases. No one dies of measles in Grenada. I mean, this is unheard of. Many of us physicians, we have never seen a case of measles. All right, we have never seen a case of polio. It is because we have vaccinated. All right, and these conditions are eliminated in our region, and these are the benefits that vaccination bring. All right, now vaccines go through a rigorous process of development, and they are tested, all right, in several rounds of trials before they make it to the market. So when a vaccine makes it to the market, all right, it has gone through a lot of regulatory hurdles, and it is proven to be safe and effective and beneficial to the persons that receive it. So that is the assurance that we should all have, that these vaccines are not something that you just wake up one morning and cook up in your kitchen and send out. It doesn't work that way. Now, with regard to the speed of production, remember we have been producing vaccines for years. We do not need to go, for example, I always give the example of the telephone companies, the cell phone makers. They do not go back and mine the mineral from scratch to make a new version. They just improve on technology that already exists. Now the thing is, as we go forward and as technology improves, we will be able to do much more at a faster rate. All right, it's about working smarter. All right, being more efficient. So and this is translated across all fields. As technology improves, things are going to be things are going to get results and outcomes at a faster rate. And this is the same with vaccines as well. All right, scientists are able to build on the knowledge and on the technology that already exists, and they are able to adapt products that already exist to fight new diseases. So these vaccines that you see on the market now against the COVID, the development of these vaccines actually started many years ago. All right, the platform, all right, upon which these vaccines were started or were placed, they've started many years ago. All right, it simply took a small adaptation to fight this disease. Now, mind you, this same technology is the one that is showing a lot of promise for the treatment of many other conditions. So as we go forward in the future, we're going to see that we are able to do much more because we are at a much more advanced stage. So persons should not they should not doubt so much when they see that these things happen like that. They should remember that all of the relevant processes were followed, right? And our level of technology is much better than many years ago.
As it is now, there's no mandatory vaccination. There's no mandate. It is basically a choice. Either you take it or you don't take it. But in different fields, we are seeing employers saying, well, you have to, based on where you are, example, the tourism industry, hoteliers, persons who work on cruise ships, etc., you have to take it. And that is basically where they stand now. But generally, you are not mandated. It is still a choice, right?
That is correct.
So we've seen an increase, of course, in public relations by the ministry, and you know, encouraging folks to take the message, take the vaccine, and what have you. What are some of the other initiatives the ministry is undertaking to get the message across? Bearing in mind that, of course, you know, you still have the option to take it or not to.
Right. So we know that the public had many questions, so we sought to put a lot of information out there in different forums. So we went about trying to increase public education and increase the knowledge of persons about the vaccines and everything around vaccinations. All right, we addressed youth. We designed messages that that span the full spectrum of individuals who qualify to receive these vaccines. Even this Sunday, we have an activity at the stadium that will see a number of panelists discuss issues surrounding the vaccines and so on, all in an effort to put information out there and to give persons useful and credible information, right? But in addition, we have partnered with different entities, and we have done different outreach programs to bring the vaccines closer to persons. So we use different sites. Even over the last weekend, we were out in the communities. We went La Poterie and Tivoli and these areas. We are vaccinating from different sites or health centers. We are also at the Radissons. We've been at the stadium. We've been at the Esplanade Mall. We're looking for that avenue where it will be as easy as possible for persons who want to be vaccinated to access. So that is what we are doing: education and trying to improve access.
I've got two questions regarding that. Someone says here, what about someone that suffers with blood clots and using blood thinners? Would you advise them to take the vaccine? Because they
All right,
know
so
how pregnant they are. So
right, so that individual, what we would advise that individual is, one, you have to sit and have a discussion with your clinician, because it depends on the status of your conditions. All right, and it also depends on the level of risk. So let's say you are taking medication for blood clot, but you plan to travel to the US, or you plan to travel to Barbados or so, all right, where you will be exposed to COVID, likely. The decision may be taken that yes, the benefit at this time far outweighs the risk, and you are going to be closely monitored, and you are going to be offered the vaccine. All right, the vaccine will be offered to everyone who wishes to have it. All right, what happens is the monitoring and all of that around the person. So that person would have to have a discussion with their physician, and let us try to make the right decision for them.
I've seen a question here. Somebody is asking, why are there multiple types of the vaccine? But my thing is, there's different painkillers. There's Panadol, there's ibuprofen. There's so many different, ones that do the same thing. Take care of pain. So I'm thinking that is basically the same reason you have options. Are there any differences really between the Johnson and Johnson, the Pfizer, and the AstraZeneca, Dr. Charles?
Well, they are all designed to do the same thing, offer you protection against the disease. But remember, these are different companies. All
Hmm.
right. Remember, there is the health, but there is also the business
Side of
aspect of this.
Mhm.
All right. Moderna is not related to Pfizer. These are two separate pharmaceutical companies. AstraZeneca is another company. All of these companies set about to develop a vaccine because, I mean, they are aware that yes, COVID is a pandemic. Hundreds of millions of people are affected, and hundreds of millions of people remain at risk. So there's a business opportunity
Mhm.
to produce a vaccine so that you can you can market it to the population. So you have many companies producing vaccines, and that hence the reason why you have several vaccines, but they all do the same thing at the end.
Someone else is also saying there's not enough information on these vaccines. Every day something comes out about these vaccines. I'm not sure about the not enough information. Are you accessing the information?
Yeah.
Because everywhere, the World Health Organization, different platforms have a wealth of information on it. So are folks seeking the information?
Yeah, that is my thought exactly. In fact, I think there's a whole lot of information that persons are finding it hard to to synthesize all of that content, and maybe that is creating confusion as well. But information on the vaccine, there is a lot out there, and we advise persons to go to those reputable sites like the WHO, the CDC. You can go to FDA, you can go to the European Union, the EMA, which is the European Medicines Agency, or the UK. A lot of information, a lot of information is out there.
Because the thing is, there's a lot of information on both sides, for and against. So it depends on
That
what
is correct.
you're looking for. So you're gonna have to make that, have to do the research yourself. There's a lot of information, and decide, what is best for you. Because as much as I'm seeing the World Health and who putting out, I'm seeing other sites, you know, putting up a fight against it as well.
Yeah, and that is correct. And persons have to be careful in how they seek information as well. So someone might go and you're trying to find out information on COVID side effects, or not COVID side effect, or COVID vaccine side effects. You put in a search for COVID side effects. All you will get is content on COVID vaccine side effects. Um, if you do not search for the benefits, you will not, you may never see it, because there is so much content on each side of the fence, as you just say. If you box yourself in to only one side of the coin, you are going to only receive, and you are only going to digest content, the negative. If you search
And
for
you're
only
probably
negative,
more
that is all
against
you
than for.
exactly. All right, you would get what you are looking for. If you're only searching for the negative, you will only see the negative. And you know how these browsers track your behavior. The minute you search for something, it's starting to pop up in ads, it's starting to pop up in everything.
Mhm.
That is simply how the world works.
And
So we
that can
ask persons to
definitely instill fear.
search for both sides.
And that can instill a lot of fear and doubt. So you'll have to decide. I think I got one more question before we go. Somebody is also asking, in terms of the education. Yes, we're educating, doing a lot of giving a lot of information regarding getting vaccinated. But how about folks talking about building the immunity and stuff like that the natural way? Someone here is asking. Um, what about that sort of information? Can the ministry incorporate the two?
All right. So what persons must remember is that COVID is not the only health concern of the Ministry of Health.
Mhm.
COVID is just very current because it is a serious health threat to not just Grenada, but the entire world. All right, persons still face the issues associated with chronic diseases and all the other things. All right, at all times, the advice that we have for persons is one: you should live a healthy life as much as possible. You should try to adopt healthy habits on a daily basis. And this is not just for COVID, this is for everything else. So you should ensure that you are eating a balanced diet, you're drinking sufficient fluids, you're getting enough rest, you're getting enough sleep, you're avoiding habits such as excessive consumption of alcohol, all right, and any other negative negative thing that can affect your health. All of these form part of a healthy life. So if you want to have a healthy immune system, ensure that you're getting enough rest, ensure that you're eating a balanced diet, right? You're drinking enough fluids, you're exercising. That is across the board for everyone, whether it's COVID or not.
Makes a lot of sense. Doc, final one. April 24th to 31st is the annual vaccination week in the Americas. Any messages for the public as we enter into that week?
Well, my personal message for the public is that, listen, vaccines have benefited us tremendously. All right. This whole issue with us mistrusting vaccines, and it's a whole it's as if it's becoming out of control right now. It is clouding our judgment to the fact that, listen, this is something that we have done for ages. All right, this is something that has protected us for many decades. Right? And as I mentioned before, we don't have to worry about our children getting measles and going deaf or suffering some severe brain injury. We don't have to worry about becoming paralyzed due to polio. We don't have to worry about babies being born with malformations due to rubella. And there are many other vaccine preventable diseases that are very serious. All right. All of this is because the Ministry of Health has a robust vaccination program. All right. And this happens on a daily basis. All right. What we want persons to do is to listen. Don't, there's a whole saying that don't drink bush for somebody else's cold or something like that.
Fever.
I mean, exactly. This this anti-vaccine wave, which has been magnified by social media and it is a threat not just for COVID, but is a threat to for all of the gains that we have made over the years as a result of vaccination. If we continue on this path, we will not just be speaking of COVID. We might be speaking of the next measles outbreak in Grenada. We might be speaking of cases of polio because it starts with COVID. But once the idea is put in the head that vaccines are bad, all vaccines become bad. All right. And then persons stop vaccinating. And then all of the public health gains that we've made, all of the nice, comfortable life that you see we have here, that is gone. All right. So persons must think about that. All right. When they are making these.
I think you're dropping. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end. So thank you so much, Dr. Charles, for checking in with us this morning. A lot of information disseminated, and hopefully we can you can join us again soon to give us further updates. Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you for inviting me.
You are so welcome.
Okay, all the best.
Have a good one. And that takes care of your program this morning. You can catch us again tomorrow morning, same time, same place, for another one, final one for the week. I hope we were able to answer some of your questions. And of course, like I said, hopefully we'll have Dr. Charles back or somebody in a position of authority to speak to give us more information regarding vaccination, COVID-19, what have you. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us today. Catch us again tomorrow, same time. All compliments of friends at Beacon Insurance and Western Union.
Compliments of Beacon Insurance.